Hello friends, so today's video is going to be chatting through episode 8 of Wheel of Time, the final episode of this first season. I will be going into details here in just a sec. Please forgive the somewhat scattered first thoughts here, but I just kind of wanted to get general statements out of the way, and then we'll go through specifics because I did take notes again as I went through the episode. I know I'm very picky about how things look, and I think a lot of people are tired of me being like, I didn't think this looked great. But speaking really honest, I still didn't think a lot of it looked great in this episode. I had predicted that this final episode was going to end up being a lot of CGI, and it was. And I think because I expected it, it didn't bother me as much. I mean, I think episode 1, some people love the way the Trollocs look. And if that's you, awesome. You know, I'm glad that you like how they look. I think that when it's just a guy with all of his makeup and everything extra that they do to make them look like that, I think it does look really good. But it's when they have the CGI ones that I don't think it looks as good. And obviously having a massive army in this last episode did result in there being some scenes that it was clearly fake, right? And my biggest thing, I know a lot of people last week got very upset with me because I didn't love the opening fight scene. The reason I am so picky is because we have these huge budgets to make these shows. And I'm not saying a huge budget automatically means the show needs to look amazing, because it costs a lot to do and it costs a lot to film and to cast and everything like that. But where I'm going with this is, and some of you have heard me express this before, with these really big fantasy epics, my heart really truly wants more animated series, whether that be more Castlevania style art or the way, I think this would be exceptionally expensive as well, but if you've seen the trailers for the Witcher video game that they put out, just stunning. That would probably cost a fortune, but you could take what I'm assuming would be a much smaller budget, and then you could make everything look awesome. For a lot of these fantasy shows that we're getting, I wish we had at least 10 to 12 episodes. 8 episodes is just, in my opinion, not enough for everything we need to establish. I think it's such a difficult task to try and get your footing in 8 episodes, especially with something like Wheel of Time, where you have so many characters and such a fleshed out world, and there's so many details. There's just so much to do, and to try to do that in 8 episodes and make it satisfying for readers, but also satisfying for newcomers, it's a big ask. And so that's why I'm so picky. A lot of people, I know, I upset a lot of you, but that's why. That's why I'm so picky, is because in my mind, if you're gonna make something live action, I want it to look live action. I don't want it to look fake. If you're gonna do a live action and it looks fake, then in my mind, I'm like, why not animate all of it? That's kind of where I'm coming from. I also think if you animated it, you could make so many more episodes because it wouldn't cost as much. Did they kill Loyal, though? Because that I'm like, Anyway, in general, it definitely left some things open. It made some things very unclear. For example, like, is Matt going back? Is he going to turn to the dark side? That's what they seem to be implying, but also I'm like, I don't know if they're actually going to do that, and they're just trying to intrigue us. Obviously, there's introduction of a group of people that I feel I can't say who they are because of some people who haven't yet read the books or don't plan to read the books. So I feel like I can't say the group that's shown at the very end, but if you know, you know. There are some choices they made for this last episode that I personally am going to be slightly critical of. So I already touched on special effects. City, I thought the city always looked great. I thought that the room where Rand and Moraine were in the end, I thought that room looked amazing. It looked like an old ruin that you would find. I really liked how that looked. But as far as the Trollocs, or when you see Rand, one of the last images of him, and he's kind of looking out, and then you see everything behind him, it just looked notably fake right there as well. Getting into specifics, though, because I've kind of rambled aimlessly for this first chunk. So getting into my notes as the episode progressed. So at the very beginning, we finally see Lews Therin. I'm a little sad that we didn't get the opening of Eye of the World, because the opening of Eye of the World is, it's a great opening. Whether you like the books or not, I think that that's an exceptionally intriguing prologue. So I was hoping that's what we were going to get. That's not exactly what we got. I wrote in my notes, I said, liked the more modern look of the clothes and furniture. It was a detail that I was like, this is a great detail. And then they show you look at this futuristic city, even though it's 3,000 years ago. And I was like, dang it. I was really appreciating the detail. And then they kind of just show you. A lot of you have been keeping up with my thoughts, know that that's been one of my complaints, is that I think sometimes you'll get these details and then they're like, but did you notice though? In case you didn't, here you go. And I get it, because not everybody knows to look for those things, right? I knew to look for that, so that's why I appreciated it. So I understand why they would maybe be a little clearer in the next moment. But anywho, within that scene, I genuinely have a question for those of you who are super fans. I was a little confused that they called Lews Therin the Dragon Reborn. And I looked up, I was like looking up Lews Therin, the titles that he's given, and I never saw Dragon Reborn, but I did see Dragon, and I'm like, is it just that it's interchangeable? So those of you who are super fans, let me know. You feel free to explain to me why he's called Dragon Reborn in that scene instead of just Dragon. Anyway, I'm very curious. I did like the actor a lot who played Lews Therin. Definitely liked them, even though you only got them a little bit. And then my next note, like I already said, I hoped we'd see, I can't say, well, maybe I can say, the breaking. I hoped that we'd see that. It's kind of a dark scene, so maybe that's really awful of me to say I hope we'd see what came next, but we didn't. I actually, as we go to present day, and Rand is dreaming, and then you see Moiraine die in the dream, I was like, I mean, you know, you're pretty sure it's a dream, but at the same time, I was like, dang, that was pretty brutal. I've joked before that I need a montage of all the times people get stabbed through where a character is looking at another character and then you just see something come out of their stomach or their throat or their mouth. My next note, I can't read off exactly what I wrote. The bad guy, I will call him, his suit. I was like, I like the detail that his suit looks so noticeably different from the clothing that they're wearing. I liked that detail. But I once again I just kind of want to know your opinions on this. If you pause it, Amazon tells you who the actor is and what character they're playing. And maybe if you have read the books, this is the only way you would know. But it tells you this character's name, the bad guy, which kind of is a big giveaway. I mean, if you've read the books, you already know, right? You know who that is and who that is not. And I guess if you haven't, that pausing it wouldn't ruin it. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the hard thing about doing these chats, too, is I don't want to ruin things for people that want to pick the books up. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm implying. Silly detail that I'm sure nobody else cares about, but at one point when Moiraine and Rand are walking and they see the Trollocs coming, they see them very clearly. And then you go to the city and they're up on balconies and they have, it looks like the same view. And maybe I just couldn't, maybe I, in the previous episode, didn't get a good look at how things are arranged. The dream sequence that we get with Rand, I'm also very curious to know your thoughts on this. I understand that this was clearly, it would seem the future that Rand would want. And so therefore it seemed like a good thing to tempt him with. But as far as last battles go, and the difficulty of defeating this big bad, I thought it was a little underwhelming. I do think visually, as far as, because I'm so picky generally, this looked so nice. This little house that they have, the baby was super cute. The cute baby, the landscape around with the forest and this beautiful lookout. I know it's kind of similar to what we saw with where Rand and Tam are at the beginning. I just thought this looked beautiful. I really liked what this looked like. However, I do think it was a slightly underwhelming, big bad kind of boss fight, if you will. I thought it was, I mean, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. Could you imagine if Rand was like, all right, I'll do it. This is really what I want. I jokingly wrote, and this is a joke, I jokingly wrote, Rand overcame with the power of feminism. Like him recognizing, like, the woman I love, she wants a life for herself. Obviously, we have high stakes moments with the channeling and with the city. And so I appreciated that. I think that the beginning of the episode was actually kind of surprisingly slow for it being the last episode and having this big battle. I understand we kind of had these last character moments beforehand and this preparation, which I think created a sense of anticipation for this battle, and it was reminding us of what we have to lose. But I do think maybe, I don't know. I guess I wanted the battle to be longer. The battle was basically shooting crossbows, and then women channel, and then everybody gets wiped out. So I guess I wanted a big battle, but at the same time, I don't think that could have worked. I don't think the budget would have allowed a huge battle with a bunch of extras in season 1 of a very ambitious show. I also just want to say that Lady Amalisa, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, she was awesome. I really liked her, even though she had this very small role. I thought she was incredible. A part of me was like, man, the White Tower can't station a few Aes Sedai out here because they did work when they actually linked. And I don't know, maybe if you had some highly trained Aes Sedai stationed here, that would be helpful. I did chuckle a little bit because for the most part, I've enjoyed Nynaeve's ferocity throughout this season. But when that woman says, "You're Moiraine's too," and then Nynaeve says, we're no one's but our own. I was like, Nynaeve, chill for a sec. Now's not the time. Okay, there's just a bunch of Trollocs coming. The city, if you cannot block them all off, everybody's gonna die, okay? So now you really don't need to get that dig in. One of my favorite moments of this episode was when Moiraine was so willing, if she needed to kill Rand. I was like, this is the Moiraine's willing to do whatever it takes that I've been wanting. Finally mentions ta'Veren. I've been waiting for them to mention ta'Veren. Also, they make it very clear that Egwene and Nynaeve are also ta'Veren. I'm guessing that that's what they were implying with Min, where she talks about seeing basically sparkles around all of them. While we were watching, I was wondering if Moiraine had been stilled, had been gentled, and my husband was like, I think maybe she's just being shielded from the one power. So obviously we get this reveal at the end that she can't use it. I don't know how I feel about that. I think we'll have to see what they do in the next season. I don't want to spoil Witcher, but I'm like, dang, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. But anyway, if you want, you know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But either way, the moment when Moiraine tells Lan, that's the best acting I feel like we've gotten the whole show. That moment, not that she's been a bad actress by any means, I just mean in that moment, the way that she's trying not to cry as she says it, and then she breaks down, you're like, that sucks. And at the very end, we get the far western shore. Exciting to see these individuals show up. There was a small part of me, my husband was pumped. He was like, yes. And I was excited too, but then I'm like, why are they putting this giant wave towards the shore where there's only a little girl? And he's like, don't stop it. Let me be excited. And I was like, okay, sorry. But I am excited about them. They've clearly made some pretty big changes, and they seem to be implying certain things with the ending. Again, I don't even want to comment on Loyal, because I'm like, didn't Rafe say in the behind the scenes, like, not everybody's gonna make it? And I was like, okay, I mean, like, our main cast is scheduled for the next season. Their names are listed. And then I'm like, wait, I'm gonna be upset if they did. I can't imagine they would, right? I didn't check his name, though. I didn't check to see if he's listed. That would be very upsetting. I've been saying this ever since episode 4, but I still think episode 4 is my favorite. It just had, in my opinion, a great blend of interesting character moments, interesting world building. The characters that are in that episode, Logain, I really enjoyed. And I think that we get some of the introduction to the Aes Sedai and their politicking and their scheming, but also the way that they all join together for a common cause. I thought the blend of magic and action was done really well in that episode. And in general, it was a great mid-season episode. I think a lot of times mid-season episode is where you kind of end up having an uncomfortable bump in the road. And that was the highlight for me. This episode, some of the choices they made were very interesting. I'm not a diehard fan, though, of Wheel of Time. The books, I think many of you know that. So I can't claim to be upset by the changes, but I just don't it'll be interesting to see what they do with them. Anyway, it's over now. Let me know your thoughts. I will try to do a season review with my husband, and we'll get to chat about all of it collectively. But anyway, thanks so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.